Disney movies have long enchanted young audiences with their stories about true love and good triumphing over evil. In the 1959 classic Sleeping Beauty, the beautiful princess is cursed to eternal slumber by an evil sorceress. The prince slays the dragon, saves her with true love's kiss, and the kingdom rejoices. You know how fairy tales go, the usual happily ever after, but did you know that the real origin of Princess Aurora is much, much darker than that? This Sleeping Beauty story only gets more sinister and twisted the further back we go. It's a tale riddled with sexual assault, murder, and cannibalism. So, sit down, take a deep breath, and mentally prepare yourself to have your childhood ruined. But first, don't forget to subscribe, leave a like, and ring the bell so you don't miss out on any new videos. The story of Sleeping Beauty has been retold and watered down a few times since its original conception. Before Disney adapted this fairy tale into the big screen, there was an 1812 version of it by the Brothers Grimm titled Little Briar Rose. Before the Brothers Grimm included the story in their collection of fairy tales, it was published by Charles Perrault in 1697. Perrault's version in his collection of fairy tales, Mother Goose Tales, was based on Guillaume Baptiste Basile's 1634 version called Sun, Moon, and Talia. While each of these versions of Sleeping Beauty probably emotionally scarred many children in their own unique way, Basile's is by far the most horrifying. That's exactly why we're going to mainly focus on his tale, Sun, Moon, and Talia. Chances are you've seen the 1959 Disney classic, Sleeping Beauty, and know how the story goes. Just in case you haven't, or maybe you forgot a few details, here's a quick recap. Once upon a time, a princess named Aurora was born as the only daughter of King Stefan and Queen Leah. To celebrate her christening, they invited everyone from the entire kingdom. Well, almost everyone. This guest list included 3 fairies, Flora, Fauna, and Merryweather. The first 2 fairies blessed the princess with gifts of beauty and song. Before Merryweather could cast her gift, the sassiest party crasher in all of Disney history suddenly appeared. After her dramatic entrance, Maleficent cursed baby Aurora to prick her finger on the spindle of a spinning wheel and die. They should have just invited her. Merryweather was not able to undo the spell, but she was able to turn the death sentence into a nice, permanent nap. The kind of deep sleep that can only be broken by true love's kiss. In an attempt to prevent the spell from coming true, King Stefan ordered every spinning wheel in the kingdom destroyed. The fairies raised her in a cabin in the woods to hide her from Maleficent until one day of her 16th birthday, Aurora meets Prince Philip. The two instantly fall in love and agree to meet later in the cabin. Leave it to Disney to romanticize an arranged marriage. Of course, Maleficent gets in the way. She finds Aurora, enchants her into pricking her finger on the spindle of a spinning wheel, and fulfills her curse. Prince Philip is captured by Maleficent. The 3 good fairies are able to set Philip free, and with his help, successfully defeat Maleficent in her dragon form. Philip kisses Aurora, the curse is broken, and they return to the castle to dance. The end. In complete contrast, the original story that inspired it is abominable. You know it's bad when the Brothers Grimm version is the most kid-friendly one. In the 1812 version called Little Briar Rose, Sleeping Beauty's name is Rosamund. Instead of fairies, there were 13 wise women. Unfortunately, the king only had 12 golden plates. He only invited 12 wise women. Like the Disney tale, the wise woman who was left out is insulted anyway. She curses the princess, and she falls into a deep slumber on her 15th birthday. While this beauty is sleeping, a hedge of briars spreads all over the castle, killing any suitor that tries to save her. 100 years later, a prince hears about the tale of Sleeping Beauty, and for some mysterious reason, the hedge of briars allows him to enter. He kisses the princess. Everyone wakes up, and they live happily ever after. Not too bad, right? Perrault's adaptation involves an ogre and a tease of cannibalism. His version, originally from 1697, was called The Sleeping Beauty in the Wood, which is mostly in line with the Disney and Brothers Grimm takes. Instead of wise women, 7 good fairies are invited to be the godmothers of the princess. An old fairy, who was presumed to be dead by everyone, was not invited. To everyone's surprise, she shows up at the party, very much alive. She's furious that everyone forgot about her, and she curses the princess. Another difference in Perrault's version is the lack of true love's kiss. After 100 years, the prince braves the brambles and thorns around the castle. He lifts the enchantment by simply falling on his knees as soon as he sees the princess. They have 2 children together. The prince's mother, who comes from a line of ogres, sends Sleeping Beauty and her 2 kids into a cabin in the woods. There, the queen orders a cook to prepare her grandchildren and daughter-in-law for her dinner in delicious French sauces. Fortunately, the cook has a heart and prepares other meat for the ogre queen instead. The prince eventually figures out that his mother is trying to eat his family and rescues Sleeping Beauty from her monster-in-law. This version, which is the original, is by far the most messed up. It contains sexual assault, murder, and even a hint of cannibalism. Alright, you've been warned. In Basile's The Sun, Moon, and Talia, Sleeping Beauty's name is Talia. Instead of a princess, she's the daughter of a great lord. A splinter from flax causes her to fall into a deep sleep. Thinking she's dead, her father abandons her in her home, where Talia sleeps unbothered for many years. Until one day, a king comes across the house and finds the beautiful, unconscious Talia. You already know what happens next. After he sexually assaults the sleeping Talia, the king leaves and goes back to his kingdom. Somehow, the unconscious Talia gives birth to twins. One of the twin babies starts sucking Talia's finger, which removes her flax splinter, and Talia wakes up. She finds the 2 babies and realizes they're actually hers. The king eventually returns to the house and finds Talia awake. He sees the twins and explains to Talia what he did to her while she was sleeping. Because it's a fairy tale from the 17th century, Talia forms a bond with her sexual assaulter. The king reluctantly returns to his kingdom, but not before promising Talia that he would come back for her and the twins. Back at the castle, the queen overhears the king mumbling Talia, sun, and moon repeatedly in his sleep. Like any suspicious wife who hears her husband saying another woman's name over and over again, she starts to investigate. The queen eventually bribes the king's secretary to tell her who Talia is. She then writes to Talia, pretending to be the king, and asks her to send the twins to the castle. Talia agrees, and when the twins arrive, the queen orders the cook to turn them into a delicious meal for the king. Fortunately, the cook is a decent human being, and instead of cooking the children, he hides them. In place of the twins, he prepares lamb. The queen creepily watches and encourages the king to eat his meal. Of course, that wasn't enough revenge for her. She invites Talia to the kingdom with the intention to burn her alive. Luckily for Talia, the king stops the queen in time and orders her to be burned instead. The king was about to burn the cook for feeding him his own children when he realizes that the twins are actually safe. Instead of burning to death, he was rewarded with riches. The king marries Talia, and they live a sick and twisted happily ever after. The end. So what do you think about the true origins of Disney's Sleeping Beauty? Was the original fairy tale as bad as you expected, or much worse? If you liked this origin, please don't forget to subscribe, ring the bell, and like the video, because there's a lot more coming. Thanks for watching. We'll see you again soon.